Okay, so growing up, obviously, there's one thing I've always done, and that's, always do the devil's tango. But one thing I will say is that there are some really weird places that I've done it in and kind of regretted. But this one place, I gotta say, was one of the most odd because, well, I ended up doing it in a playground. And the way this happened, obviously, was really immature and really unhealthy, so don't ever do this. But before we get into the story, make sure you guys press that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Seriously, it means a lot when you guys press that subscribe button, and it means a lot when you guys support the channel. Other than that, let's just jump straight into this embarrassing story. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to a really embarrassing video. So today's story all starts off back when I was in high school, and this was my grade 10 year. Now in grade 10, I will say this, I was a total F-boy. I'm not joking. If anything was walking, it was done. Other than men, because I'm not gay, but still, you guys understand what I mean. My hormones were acting through the roof, and I was just being dumb and unmature the entire school year. And I remember one time when I was in high school, there was one girl that I always kind of, I guess, fancied. I don't know why, but this one specific girl was one of those girls that I felt like I could never pull. Like, for example, you guys know when you watch those movies and you see like that one girl that like the hero never ends up getting until he gets his superpowers? Well, me, the only superpower I had was my eggplant, and well, I guess in a way I never thought that that could work to pull this girl. But I remember one time I was sitting in my science class and I was just doing my science project, and this girl usually sat in front of me, and this girl was really hot, and one of the reasons why she was also so popular is because she was also in musical theater. For some reason in my high school, musical theater was like such a big deal, and usually it was the most attractive girls that would end up getting lead roles, and almost every year of my high school years, she was always getting the lead role in certain musicals. So me, obviously, I always found her really attractive because so did everyone else, and I guess it became a kind of a popular thing to, be attracted to this girl. But obviously, in no way was I ever gonna get her attention because all I was known for was playing video games and doing the devil's tango. Anyways, like I was saying though, one time she sat in front of me in science class, and I saw that she had no partner for a science project. For some reason, not a lot of people wanted to work with her because, well, even though she was really attractive, she wasn't, I guess, really smart. And me, obviously, me trying to be the nice guy and I guess trying to riz her up, I saw this as a golden opportunity to go up and talk to her and say, hey, like, what's going on? I heard you don't have a science partner. Is it cool if I maybe like work with you? Yeah, if you're down, sure. I will say though, I'm not really doing that well in this class. Oh no, it's cool. Like, I'm not either, but two heads are better than one, right? She ends up laughing and ends up actually giggling, and funny enough, me and her, we started working on the science project together, and it led to her telling me this. Hey, so what are you doing later on after school? I'm going home. I got work to do. I didn't work at this time, to be honest. I was playing Call of Duty. That was what I considered work, and it's funny nowadays because it's still kind of considered work for me, but you know what I mean. Going on from there, I remember basically she ends up telling me, oh, okay, well, I mean, if you're down, I was wondering if you wanted to, like, I don't know, maybe like hang out and like help me with the science project later after school. I ended up looking at her and said sure, and we ended up actually hanging out that day after school. But before we ended up hanging out, I will say this, a lot of people in my high school found out that I ended up getting a date with this girl, and everyone was freaking out. So many people were walking up to me trying to figure out how I did it, and a lot of girls were actually talking so much smack because, well, the chances were that I was just going to do the devil's tango and walk away. Even though that wasn't my intent. No, it definitely was my intention. I'm not even gonna lie to you. But going on with the story, I remember after school came around, and me and her, we ended up meeting up at the front of the school, and we started just basically walking around the neighborhood. I lived in like a decent sized neighborhood. It was more of a city, but neighborhood, city, same stuff, different pile, right? And I remember as we were walking around, me and her, we ended up grabbing bubble tea, and we ended up drinking and just talking about life, I guess. It's very bizarre to me because one of the conversations we were having is about how this girl, she was so popular, but for some reason in her own mind, she didn't realize it. Like, she always like told me how, like, it's really cool how I'm smart and stuff and how a lot of people know of me. But then I told her and said, do you realize like a lot of people know about you, right? Oh, like, what do you mean? You're basically the hottest girl in the school. No, I'm not. You know how many girls there are in the school? Yeah, I get that, but do you realize how many guys are into you? Yeah, I don't know. They're just weird. Like, what? Like, it's weird to me how, like, even nowadays when I meet up with like chicks from high school, they literally don't realize how popular they actually were, and they're like, oh nah, it was just high school. Like, no, you were popular. You were well known. You do realize like I was irrelevant in high school. Like it blows my mind how much they don't actually understand when it comes to like high school life, I guess. But that just goes to show to anyone that's in high school right now, the people that are popular or considered popular in your school, chances are after high school, they're gonna be little to nothing. Anyways, going on from there, I remember basically me and her, we ended up doing the whole thing walking around. And for some reason, when I told her that she was basically the most attractive girl in the school, school, she really started to fall for me. She really started to say things like, oh, like no one's ever been so honest before like you. And like, oh, like no one's like really been like real with me like you are. To be fair, I guess a lot of the guys in my school were just telling her what she wanted to hear. But as for me, I just told her the goddamn truth of what I was seeing and observant of. Basically showed the facts because her Instagram DMs were always filled with guys in our school trying to like rizz her up. And I guess I was the one guy that never did that. Anyways, one thing led to another. It was getting really late at night. It was around 9 p.m. and I remember me and her, we were still like basically hanging out. And I told her if, you know, she wanted to come back to my place, but she said that she was not allowed to go to people's houses super late at night. And I respected that. Honestly, even though we were high schoolers, we still respected our parents' rules. I know that a lot of people don't do that nowadays, but still I did. And so did she, I guess. And then one thing led to another. We ended up going to a playground. Now this playground was a city playground. It was like really well known throughout my city. And basically a lot of kids would go on there and play, except after 5 p.m. because obviously people would go home, and it was also a school night that night. And I remember me and her, we ended up going to the playground, and we ended up basically like, you know, just hanging out and just sitting down on the playground like normal, I guess, teenagers would. I don't know, a lot of teenagers just go to the playgrounds to like, you know, hit their vape. But me personally, I didn't vape back in high school. I was actually normal. So I remember I basically just sat there and just kind of just ended up talking to her. But one thing led to another. When we were sitting down beside each other inside the playground, we ended up getting really close, and she leaned into me. And when she leaned into me, I did what I had to do, and I kissed her. Me and her kissed, and we actually ended up making out, and then I ended up laying down on top of her. And well, you guys kind of understand the picture of where this is going. Basically, me and her, we were going to do the devil's tango. But right before it actually happened, I remember she looks over at me and says, Baba, I don't want to do it right on the playground. Yeah, that's cool. Wait, where do you want to do it then? I want to be like undercover. So like, you want to like go in the slide? Now in this playground, there was one of those like really big swirly slides that you guys mostly see in like most cartoons and most playgrounds, if anything. And I remember it was super big and it was made of like plastic. It wasn't like one of those metal ones. It was like one of those really plastic ones with the bolts that like may spark you sometimes if you like have enough friction going down it. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but it was one of those slides that sucked. And I remember me and her, we decided to basically go inside the slide and stop midway through because there was a section where it just kind of laid out. And me and her, we ended up doing the devil's tango in the slide. The amount of times I got sparked and my eggplant even got sparked and electrocuted was so many times, but I guess it kind of spiced up the devil's tango. Okay, no, in reality it was just super painful, but hey, at the end of the day, I was still doing it, wasn't I? And one thing led to another. I remember me and her, we ended up basically doing our thing, but out of nowhere, security ended up walking around the playground. Now usually, like I said, this was a city park, and it was a well-known city park, and when security comes around, well, chances are if you're doing something really naughty in the playground, you're gonna get in trouble. So I remember me and her, we ended up basically hearing like people walking around, and we saw a flashlight at the end of like the slide, and me and her, we just kind of sat in there, and me with my total eggplant out, I'm just like kind of sitting there like kind of worried. But this girl thought this was a perfect opportunity to start sucking on my eggplant, so I'm just kind of sitting there like, okay, great, so you're doing that while I'm on security watch? I don't know, it was super awkward and super weird. But honestly, after like 10 minutes later, we ended up basically seeing no one around, and we heard nothing. So me and her thought it was a perfect moment to basically go down the slide and basically put our clothes back on. Little did I know, when I ended up basically going down the slide and pulling up my pants, there were 2 security guards right at the entrance that saw me and her, and well, let's just say the 2 security guards ended up calling our parents, and we got in severe trouble. Honestly, word got out to the school that I ended up doing it with her on the playground. She denies it, but me, honestly, I didn't care. I ended up just denying it with her because, well, I didn't want to ruin her high school reputation. But hey, that was like, what, 8 years ago now? She has no high school reputation anymore, so why not tell the story? So I don't know if you guys believe in ghosts or not, but if you do, comment down below if you guys believe in ghosts, because today's story, well, I'm gonna be honest, I think I did it with a ghost. Does that make any sense? I don't know if it does, but you know what? Let's just continue on. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to an insane story. So today is a story about how I did it in an asylum. Now, I'm not gonna lie. Growing up, one thing I always knew were that ghosts are not real. I don't believe in ghosts, and to be honest, if someone told me, oh, like, ever been to this haunted mansion? I would walk in there not believing in ghosts. And I remember always, like, every Halloween, there would always be haunted houses and stuff, and I would never actually be scared of them because, well, once again, for the 3rd time in a row, I don't believe in ghosts. But I remember there was this one time, and this was back when I was in grade 9, where I remember I was walking around my high school that I was pretty new to. It was my 1st semester, and I remember this was like the 3rd month going into school, and the 3rd month is October. Now, in October, I remember it was around Halloween, and people were getting really excited because obviously Halloween at school was a really big deal. People would dress up, people would wear crazy crazy costumes. But me, I remember I really didn't care for it. It's not that I didn't like Halloween or, you know, don't dress up. It's just, I'm gonna be honest here, I kind of just never really celebrated Halloween. It was never a big deal in my household, and to be honest, Halloween just seemed dumb to me. Like, if I really wanted to dress up, why don't I just do that any day of the week? Like, if furries can do it, why can't we? Not the point, but going on. I remember one time I was walking through my high school 2 days before Halloween, and there was a girl that was basically gathering like a group of friends, and they were all talking about an asylum that was near the school that they wanted to go to. Well, it wasn't really near the school. It was like 20 minutes away from the school, but basically this girl was going around saying, like, did you guys hear, like, the asylum's apparently haunted and it's abandoned. I think we should all go there tomorrow. And I remember when I heard about this, I remember smiling and kind of just laughing at the thought that, you know, these girls would go into an asylum and basically, you know, freak out over nothing. But then I remember when I was smiling near them, the girl ended up looking at me saying, Bubba, what are you laughing at? Nothing. The fact that you guys believe in like ghosts and like a haunted asylum is pretty dumb. What, you don't believe in ghosts? Are you not scared? Nope. Not at all. I remember this girl ended up smiling at me once I said that, and I remember she said right after, okay, well, like, do you want to come with us? I mean, I guess, sure, why not? I remember when I said that, 2 of the girls decided not to go, and then afterwards, it ended up just being me and 3 other girls. And knowing this, honestly, at first, I thought this was a really dumb idea, until afterwards, when we ended up all going to class, I decided to pull up my phone and search up the asylum. And when I searched it up, I was actually kind of scared, because knowing that the asylum was real was kind of a scary thought, but at the same time, on top of that, going in there, probably not the smartest thing. Now, once again, like I said earlier, I don't believe in ghosts, so I decided to basically swallow my fearness, if that makes any sense, and basically decided to just go and see what happens. I remember that same day, I ended up going home and telling my parents about what I was planning on doing the next day. And my dad ended up telling me to basically be safe, and, you know, he thought we were going to some like haunted house that was built, when in reality, we were actually going to an actual asylum. But to be honest, I guess he didn't understand that, but it's not like I needed to give him the details, right? Because as teenagers, we never actually give our parents details. Like, that would just ruin all the fun. So I remember afterwards, I ended up going on my Xbox and started hopping on my Xbox Live party with me and my friends. When we were on there, I remember I was telling him about the plan that was going to go down, and all my friends said that I was absolutely crazy, and ended up bringing up a story about how one of the people in our school ended up going in there last year and never came back out. Now, I never understood this, and honestly, I didn't really believe it, to be honest. So I ended up searching up articles online, and apparently it was real. Now, at this point, I started actually kind of getting worried. I kind of started getting scared a little bit, and to be honest, I kind of didn't want to go. So I decided the next day when I went to school, I walked up to the same girl that invited me, and I basically told her, yo, I don't think I can make it because like I got like family plans. Ha, I knew you would back out. You're such a wuss. I'm not backing out. It's just, you know, I had plans. Then ditch the plans, dummy, and just come on. You really want me to go, don't you? And then that's when she walked up to me and decided to basically, you know, kind of like put her hand down my chest and say, oh, like, I just want a big, strong, brave man with me. But if you're just a wuss, I'll just invite someone else. Now, at this point, I started realizing that this girl was really hot. And to be honest, if she wanted me to be, you know, her hero, why not? Because obviously, like I said, I'm a helpless romantic. Because the only amazing moments that I can remember is times I've had in the shower. Wow, I really need help, don't I? Going on from there, I remember I ended up telling her, okay, well, I'll be there. I'll help you out. And then she got all excited and basically ended up walking away. Now, at this point, I didn't know what to do. I was really worried, and all throughout the day, I was basically thinking about how I didn't want to go until after school came around, and I ended up actually going to the haunted asylum that was happening. I ended up busing there with this girl, and she had a camera out and like this like thermal eye scope thing that was happening. I don't know what they're called, like those thermal glasses or thermal thing. I don't know, something thermal. I don't know what it was, but it was really cool. And you know what's also really insane? She ended up bringing bulletproof vests. I don't know how she got them. Apparently her dad's a cop, but I'm not gonna say anything else more than that. I remember right after we ended up basically both walking in there, and as we were walking around, I remember I had my flashlight out and I started getting more scared the more I stepped in there, because obviously it was actually pretty scary. Like, imagine an empty hallway that like no one's around, and like, you know, the ceiling was falling down. It was just absolutely terrifying. And then I remember as we were walking down, this girl decided to basically hold my hand as we were walking through it. And as we were holding my hand, I remember we heard a really loud crashing sound to the left of us, and me and her, we ended up jumping to the right, and basically I ended up pushing her up against the wall with my chest hitting her cherries. And then from there, I remember she ended up grabbing me by the buttocks, and we basically ended up making out. We ended up making out in an asylum. Now, you guys were probably wondering where were the other 2 girls that were supposed to come, because I did say 3 of them were going. Well, 2 of them decided to stay back and basically be lookout for any cops coming by. So yeah, that's the only reason why me and the girl were in there. And I remember from there, me and her, we started making out in the asylum, and it got to the point where she actually ended up going on her knees. And yeah, I can't give any more detail or I'm gonna get demonetized, but you guys could probably guess what was going on. I'm not gonna reenact it, but it went a little something like this. Sorry. Okay. I'm done. I'm not doing that again. I know. I can't risk my monetization here. But going on from there, I remember as I was going on, basically me and her, we ended up doing the devil's tango. And it even got to the point where we went to a room in the asylum where there was actually like a mattress there. It was absolutely disgusting, but we still did it anyway. And one thing led to another. I remember she started making really loud noises in the asylum. When she was making really loud noises, I remember apparently the two girls that were standing outside thought that we were in trouble. So they ended up calling the cops anyway. And cops decided to pull up to the asylum and basically started running through there trying to find us. And where did the cops find us? Well, the cops found us basically inside each other. No, wait, that's not the best way to put it. Let's just say the cops ended up walking in on us at the asylum doing the devil's tango. I will say this much. I maybe didn't find any ghosts, but one thing I will say is that I had a pretty spooky night. Haha. That's not funny. Okay, please leave a like. I need help. Okay, so one thing I realized is that I do it a lot in public places, and it's one thing that I really need to figure out about myself on why I do it, but I'm gonna be honest here. Back when I was in high school, I guess I would just do whatever I can to get some, like, I don't know, it was just me. But at the same time, I was a total F-boy, so I guess that's part of, like, the curriculum of being the F-boy. I have no idea. But I remember one time, let's just say I realized that the Swedish made something amazing, and the Swedish will forever be known for making this, and that's IKEA. And well, that's what you guys are gonna hear in today's story. But before I do get into the story, make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Seriously, means a lot when you guys do. And on top of that, did I mention that I am currently live on Twitch as we speak right now? So click the link down in the description below and watch me live playing these amazing games and at the same time telling these awesome stories to you guys live. But other than that, let's get straight into this insane story. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba and welcome back to another insane story. So this story takes place back when I was in actually funny enough, grade 10. This was the second semester, and I remember I was basically getting to the F-boy stage. Now, me being an F-boy, obviously you guys have heard the stories of me doing it in Walmart bathroom, to me doing it in the McDonald's bathroom, even doing it, well, in the all-gender bathroom. Yeah, I know. I've done it in a lot of places, but I think this one place, in my opinion, wasn't that bad, but until I started telling my friends about it, they started being like, dude, like, are you serious right now? And that was in IKEA. Anyways, I remember back when I was in high school, there was this chick that had a really hot sister in our school, and let's just say this chick would never let anyone, and I mean anyone, get near her sister. And I mean, I don't blame her. Like, her sister was hot as hell, but at the same time though, if I'm gonna be brutally honest, like, it made no sense why no one was allowed to talk to her. But then as I started, like, you know, becoming friends with her to kind of get close to her hot sister, one thing she told me that really made sense on why is that apparently she's a freaky Swedish woman. To be honest, I don't understand what she meant at the time, but later on in the story you guys will understand, so keep watching. I remember one thing she told me that really got me like kind of weirded out was that she said, oh well, like, she kind of like enjoys like doing new things, and like by new things I mean like really like weird things. Like, let's just say it's hard for her to say no. What is what I told her, because I'm gonna be honest, I had no idea what any of that meant, but let's just say later on in the story it does make more sense. Anyways though, me and her, we got really close, and then I remember one time she invited me over on Snapchat saying, hey, like, do you want to come over to my house and like come hang out with family? I remember I told her yes, because I was already pretty cool with her mom, knowing that she was friends with my mom, and basically I ended up going over to her house. And when I did, I ended up meeting her older sister, and holy cow, trust me when I say this, guys, you guys missed out. Well, I mean, you guys are on the internet, so me telling you this was probably the most you're ever gonna get, but holy cow, she was awesome. Like, she looked great, she was phenomenal, blonde hair, blue eyes, she had it all. And then I remember walking up to her saying, hey, like, my name's Bubba, as I like take out my hand and try to shake her hand. But I remember when she looked at me, she looked down at my eggplant and then looked up in my eyes and then smiled like there was no tomorrow, and she's like, how you doing? I'm good, how are you, is what I told her. And then yeah, my friend, or the sister of hers, was basically came in through and just basically pulled me out of there, and she told me, don't get too close, she might bite. Whatever that means, I have no idea. The freaky Swedish women, apparently. That's what all I got from that. But anyways, going on, I remember as like me and basically this chick that was my friend and her hot sister that was a Swedish freak apparently started like hanging out together and stuff. I remember I went into her room, and her room was like really empty. For some reason, her room was like really like just like bare empty. It was kind of weird. It was like you just moved in or something. And then I asked her, I was like, hey, like, why is your room like really empty? empty. She looks at me and goes, oh, like, I'm trying to like buy more things for my room. I just need to go shopping at IKEA. Do you want to come with me maybe sometime? Sure, is what I told her, because, you know, why not? Like, I had a car. I was able to move things. Like, you know, I might as well help out. And I mean, if I get to see the hot girl again, it's no losing there. So I remember I said sure, and basically her sister was really upset with me. She comes to me and says, okay, if you're gonna go hang out with her, you better do it right. I'm not gonna go because I am not going shopping with her because she's absurd when she shops. Okay, is what I told her. And then I remember the next day after school, I ended up going to the girl's house because they didn't go to the same school for some reason. And I picked her up and we instantly went straight to IKEA. Now, this is where things get really spicy. Now, as we were walking around IKEA, don't get me wrong, me and her, we were like keeping our distance and stuff. But as we went down the halls of going to different like cool rooms and stuff that IKEA has, we got closer and closer and closer to the point where she was literally able to grab my peach. Like, it was weird. And I remember she ended up actually grabbing it and squeezing it. I remember jumping and being like, whoa, like chill, chill, chill. But then she just kept pulling me towards her. And let's just say one thing led to another. Things got really, well, a lot of tension was built up, guys. That's basically what happens. Tension built up and we both knew that we were both in the mood to do the devil's tango. But obviously we couldn't because we were in IKEA. And in IKEA, there's a lot of shelves, there's a lot of TV stands, there's a lot of, well, everything. So me and her realized that there were beds in IKEA. Yup, there are a ton, and I mean a lot of beds in IKEA. From twin beds to king size beds to queen beds to even children beds. There was a lot of beds. And the fact that we went on a Monday when it was really empty in IKEA, especially in our town, well, yeah. Me and her, we ended up, you know, getting close together. She kissed me, and let's just say one thing led to another. We literally did it in IKEA in the middle of the hallway on a bed that was laid down there. Yes, we literally did the devil's tango right then and there. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the cameras picked it up and security came, but surprisingly they didn't. We literally had like 20 minutes all to ourselves doing whatever we wanted on that bed. I mean, to be fair though, if I was watching that on a security camera in IKEA and I was a security guard, I wouldn't stop it. Actually, that sounds really bad of me to say. I would stop it. I would. Going on though, I remember I was panicking like as I was going on, and I remember she was just all for it. Like, she was just going basically crazy mode, or should I say freaky Swedish mode on me. And I kind of was like, okay, this gotta stop. This has gotta stop. So I remember I basically like, you know, kind of just stood up and walked away from her. And then from there, she got really upset and then put her clothes on and basically ran towards me saying, excuse me, what are you doing? Like, why would you just do that to me? Like, who do you think you are? And I looked at her and I'm like, you need to calm down. And then I instantly just walked straight back to my car, not buying anything, and her as well not buying anything. We basically drove back home and I dropped her off. But when I dropped her off, she was texting her sister everything that happened back at the IKEA. And my phone was basically getting spammed with messages saying, you did what? With my sister? How could you? Are you serious right now? How dare you do that to my sister? Bruh. She wanted it, is what I said. But honestly, apparently it wasn't enough. Because I remember when I dropped her off and another person ended up coming into my car, and that was her sister. Her sister that told me and warned me about her in the first place. I remember I told her, listen, it just ended up happening. I don't know how these things happen. I'm sorry. And then she looked at me, she's like, yeah, but like, why would you just walk away from her like that? That hurt her feelings. Like, if you're gonna hurt my sister, I told you not to. I told you she's freaky like that. Well, I didn't know, is what I told her, because I'm gonna be real here. Back in that day, I had never met anyone freakier than me, especially when it came to the devil's tango. Yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, long story short, she ended up really not wanting to be friends with me anymore, and she basically just kind of walked away from me and basically ignored me for the rest of the school year. And for that Swedish girl, well, she ended up going for another guy and doing it in another public place, which, I mean, you know, touche. I mean, we both do the same thing. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if she started her own YouTube channel and started telling these crazy stories just like that. But at the same time, a woman doing that is kind of interesting. I've never seen a girl tell a story like I have. But I mean, other than that, that is basically it for today's story. So if you guys did enjoy it, make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And on top of that, did I mention I'm live on Twitch as we speak right now? So if you guys came to the end of the video, make sure you guys click the link in the description down below and watch me live streaming your favorite games, and at the same time telling you guys more of these crazy stories. And like I always say, fall for more embarrassing stories. All right, peace out, guys.
Let's go. Should I make it a story? Let's click record. Got that TikTok with 2 mil hit different with some more. She said she love me, she kept. Should I exit for sure? I got 100K for my life.